Good morning. It's almost 5 a.m. here in Calgary, and I am delighted to be sharing an exploration of downward facing dog. But before I get going, I just want to show you with my mini stand here what we're going to be looking at. So when we come into downward facing dog, there's some movement of the leg bone and the hip socket, and there's movement of the arm bone, not in this guy's particularly, but the arm bone and the shoulder socket, which also requires some of this blade to move on the rib cage. So what we're going to be exploring today is looking at some of the movement of the arm bone and the shoulder socket, how the blade moves on the rib cage, how the rib cage moves relative to the shoulder and the hips, and how the leg bone moves in that pelvis, right? And also a little bit of feet. The idea being that is I really want you to use, or at least the purpose of what I really would like you to do today is the purpose to see all the connections in your body and using downward dog as that place, that vehicle for exploration. Okay? So I'm going to put this little stand away. And we're going to begin with just a downward facing dog. So begin with your first downward dog of this practice. Maybe you're like me, it's the first downward dog of the morning. And I'm just going to be here. I might come off of screen a little bit. We'll just see. I've been having some issues with my iPad, so I'm on my new iPhone 11. So let me know how this goes, all right? So we're going to come up into here, into dog, okay? Great, I'm just going to turn my mat for you guys here. Okay, so now, into your downward facing dog, and just get a feel of what it's like, yeah? And then you're going to bring in your roller. And with your roller, you're going to take your hand onto the roller and you're going to take yourself into a twist. Now, typically when this is done, what people do is they just drop to the floor. I want you to really think about rotation in through your torso, keeping your pelvis quiet. So you're here and you're going to take yourself into a rotation. So you can see that I'm not dropping to the floor all that much. I'm just moving into a rotation. Yeah. So you just get to get a feel for where things might feel a little bit sticky. We're going to come to the other side. And then, here we go. Easy, really easy breathing. So I'm not suggesting that anyone does like move a certain way on their inhale or on their exhale. I just want you to breathe. Okay, good. All right, now from here, let's go back into dog, okay? So from here, again, I'm just gonna give you the best vantage point here. We're gonna go into dog like so. And get a feel for what your dog feels like now, right? Now that you've done that, feel what your dog is like after having done a little bit of rotation in through your torso. The next place I want to explore is we're going to take our toes under, like this. Now, a lot of times, this is a movement that's taught with the toes coming under like this and doing a little bit of a stretch, perhaps through the bottom of the feet. What I'd like you to do is pull those toes up, right? So you're not coming right up onto ballerina toes, but you're pulling up onto the forefoot of the dorsal side of your foot. And then we're going to start to sit down onto those heels, which might be really quite intense on the muscles between your bones. So you can always come forward just like so. Right, so you can be just like so. So what it looks like from the back is here, pulling the toes up, and you're bringing yourself down. So what you're not doing is letting your heels go wide. Right, I'm exaggerating a bit. And initially, this can be a little bit sore. I remember the very, very first time I did this, it was like, holy crap, that's really quite sore. So then you can always come into a place like so. Yeah. And then work your way back up, maybe even using a roller. Just work your way back up so you got some support. All right, lovely. And then bring that off. And now, come into your dog. Right, so into your dog, I'm gonna just move this guy around a little bit. That's better. Okay, so from here, up in a dog. And now notice what you experience. Right? Did anything change for you in through your feet as that you now came back in a dog? Okay. So now we're going to take those two ideas, your feet and the twist, we're going to take them up into a lunge. So from here, I want you to feel 3 points in the bottom of your front foot, the ball of the foot, the base of the pinky toe, the center of the heel. And we're going to start to move ourselves forward. So sometimes the tendency can be to do this, which is not necessarily bad, but what I'd like you to focus more on is noticing what happens as you move and when you want to drive it from your back or when you want to drive it by going into an anterior tilt. So if I pull the pelvis out for you, at what point do you want to kind of do this and kind of dump the contents forward? And without tucking, without pulling the ribs in, like just maintaining easy orientation. I'm not even saying the word connection because it's not about engaging muscles, but keeping this connected, or I just said that word, but oriented, one on top of the other, and then come forward. And at what point, if you feel the need to do this, at what point does that happen? Right, I've just found for people who've got some SI stuff or back stuff or knee stuff, just maintaining this orientation as opposed to pulling the ribs in or tucking the pelvis. By not doing those things, they actually get better a lot faster. Okay, now let's take the hands together here, and then let's take yourself into a twist. And again, just notice what you feel. And then come on back. Lovely. And then other side. Foot comes forward. Come into a lunge. And then hands come in and then take a twist. And then come on back. Good. Now come into your dog. So you're coming forward into hands and knees, up into your dog. And now notice what you feel in terms of the connections between your shoulders, your rib cage, your legs, and your feet. Good. And then coming down. So it becomes really interesting, right? To explore how our bodies move and what you're feeling. Okay, now let's take a ball. You're going to bring it onto the outside of your hip. Now, if you're finding that your wrists are a little bit sore on this one, but your wrists are actually fine when you do your massaging here, you can always come back like so and just roll out on your hip this way. But a lot of people I find tend to have a little bit more sensation onto the outside of the hip, so that becomes a bit more interesting for a lot of people to explore. So that when you bring the leg up into flexion or rotation and you come onto the outside of that hip, it becomes really curious, right? You just move the orientation of your femur in your hip socket, and now you've exposed some more tissue that you didn't necessarily have when your leg was down here. Now keep in mind that if you don't have the available range to bring that ankle up, then don't do it. Good, and then let's come to the other side here. Just roll it out. Good, and then if you've got it available, ankle comes up and onto the outside of that hip. There you go. Perfect. Good, and then let's come back into dog. So the cool thing I find that as people reduce pain and then more becomes available to you in terms of movement, you then begin to discover other areas of your body that could use better connection, right? And so now having rolled out your hip, you might feel even lighter in your dog, yeah? Okay, so now we're going to take the strap. We're going to come into a Supta Padangusthasana. So we're going to take ourselves, starting off with our knees bent, Let's take the strap around 1 foot. And you can have your arms relaxed beside you. You can have your hands up towards the foot. What I do, whichever one is fine, just makes the most sense for you. The thing that you want to be sure of is that you're not grabbing and holding the life out of your strap. So try to keep as light of a hold on your strap as you can. And then start to bring the leg out to the side just a little bit, keeping your pelvis completely quiet. And then bringing the leg back. And then the leg comes across your body. Pelvis is quiet. And then back and again. There you go. Nice. Okay, and then bring the leg down. Let's go to the other side. And just let that leg settle in. Bring the leg across your body. And then bring your leg wide. And bring your leg across your body. And bring your leg wide. Great. Okay, bring that leg down. Take a breather for a moment. And then roll on over. And let's come into your dog again. And notice what you feel. Good. Okay. So now, what do you now notice in your body? Have a stand up, have a walk around, maybe even have a lie down. Notice what you're now experiencing, having connected some of these parts of your arms, your rib cage, your pelvis, your legs. And we use downward dog as the vehicle to explore maybe a reconnection of those parts. Certainly a greater awareness. And what does that provide you? Now, you might feel in a certain way that you're ready to go for a run, maybe do a workout, maybe you want to do a more vinyasa practice, maybe something stronger. Take that which you've just gained into that practice. Yeah? As for me, I'm going to go upstairs and have a cup of tea. So, you have a great, great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Take good care.